Welcome to Intentional Thought, the podcast where every topic gets the spotlight. From breaking news and pop culture to the mysteries of aliens and UFOs, relationships, Black empowerment, and everything else under the sun, we're diving deep and keeping it real. This is where intentionality meets curiosity, and no thought is too big or too bold. So sit back, tap in, and let's explore the world, one intentional thought at a time.
Yeah. We bite. We back again, man, with another episode of Intentional Thought Podcast. Welcome back. Settle down, get some popcorn, man. I'm about to get real deep tonight with the topic, you feel me? But you know how we do, man, when we first start, we gotta vibe out first, man.
I told them be cautious when they reloading the carbon, and they be picking their targets and pick them up like a bargain, then knock them off on the market, and they be dropping the charges, I'm strapped up like a harness, and all the water because of it, nobody gon' want it when it's felt that way. Part of free base, throw melt your face, you show your ass with the belts in place. Look, fake woke, wish I was more like J. Cole.
It ain't good if you ain't coughing, you feel me?
Not in the business to save souls, bring my nigga back.
So yeah, welcome back to another episode of Intentional Thought Podcast. I am your host, Awfultruth. Today we stepping outside the box.
Cast out demons.
Nah, fuck that, we actually stepping outside the whole damn matrix, you feel me? We talking ancient wisdom, origin stories, you know that they've been trying to bury under textbooks, cartoons, Marvel movies. Have you ever asked yourself, who built these guys, man? Let that marinate for a second. Who built these guys, man? Yeah, we don't get into it today.
Hallelujah.
Okay, so now what made me think of this episode was I was on Instagram and I saw this video playing.
As I said, within the next 5 years, you will be introduced publicly and openly to different extraterrestrial beings. Most likely the Pleiadians will be first, followed by certain kinds of hybrids. You will then find other kinds of hybrids like ourselves being added to the list and introduced. Arcturans will come, Sirius beings will come, eventually the mantis beings will be introduced to you, and several other species as well. So generally in that order. First and foremost, most likely again the Pleiadians, because most of them look a lot like you. You are genetically connected to them, and because they seem somewhat familiar and look a little bit like you, you won't, as you say, freak out. After you get used to them, more and more extraterrestrial species will be introduced over the decades, one after another, in ways that you can absorb, in ways that don't push you too far, in ways that give you time to acclimate, because otherwise what would be the point? And the idea is, again, that you will receive benefits from each and every one of these introductions, first and foremost understanding that they have been helping you all along behind the scenes, as I already told you.
And even in that video, man, you can see all the white people looking at each other like, yeah, man, the aliens, they look just like us, man. So this comment I made, it sparked a whole bunch of other comments, which a lot of my comments usually do on the internet, but it made me think, like, how did the UFO community turn into this whole white supremacist foothold? So let's start off with the Anunnaki. So that name, Anunnaki, it ain't no made-up sci-fi fantasy. It's straight out of ancient Sumer, one of the oldest civilizations on Earth. We talking around like 2100 BCE, right out of Mesopotamia, which is today modern Iraq. Anunnaki translate to those who came from the heavens. That's already sounding very alien, you feel me? They were floating around with wings and harps Nah, these were flesh and blood beings, advanced, powerful, not divine in the way like religion sells it, but technological, interstellar, and scientific. Now here's where things get wild. My dude named Zachariah Sitchin, he broke the mold with this one. Sitchin, basically, he read ancient Sumerian tablets, like receipts from a galactic operation. He said that Anunnaki came from a planet called Nibiru, some rogue planet that basically swings around our solar system every few thousand years. Some people call it Planet X. They came here looking for one thing, and that's gold. Not for jewelry, not for like drip, but for survival. They supposedly use gold in their atmosphere to stabilize it. So what do? They touched down on Earth, they found hella gold in Africa, and basically got to work. But mining was a hassle, even for advanced beings such as Anunnaki. So they took the local humanoids, they did like a little bioengineering, and then boom, here you go. We got humans genetically modified to be the laborers, basically the first 9 to 5 on some intergalactic plantation type shit. You feel me? So they didn't really create us from scratch. They altered what was already here. We were like version 1.0, and then they upgraded us, mixed their DNA with ours. That's where you get the whole created in their image. You know, that sounds familiar, don't it? And we not just stardust, we actually might be somebody's science project. So, but let's try to make this real world, not just myths and ancient tablets. So there's this book called They Came Before Columbus, written by Ivan Van Sertima, which basically documents how black people was in Americas long before slavery. When you look at ancient Sumerian art, the statues, the carvings, the idols, you notice something that the history books, they always try to skip over, which is broad noses, full lips, kinky hair, not blue-eyed, blonde-haired spacemen, but features that look a lot like us, like black folks, like people of the sun. It makes you ponder, why would ancient gods be carved to resemble African phenotypes unless the blueprint was us all along? So now here's where it gets even deeper though. If the Anunnaki made us in their image and we got features that scream melanated royalty, then really who built the gods? Because see, if we are a part of them, maybe they are a part of something else, another level, another dimension, another origin, another layer in the cosmic hierarchy. We keep getting taught this top-down version of creation, like there's a final boss in the sky and that's it. But what if it's way more complicated, something we can't even comprehend until we reach that next level? So what if the Anunnaki were like the middle management in the cosmic food chain? Not the source, but a source, like builders, engineers, manipulator of matter, but they not God for sure. They definitely flesh and blood. And maybe that's why mainstream religion tries to stay hush hush on these type of origin stories, because once you start asking questions like this, everything starts to glitch basically. So I want to leave y'all with this, man. If we were designed by extraterrestrials who were themselves created by something else, then our existence ain't just random. It means we got purpose in our code, power in our lineage, and maybe the divine spark ain't some temple but encoded in our own DNA. You're not just a human, your history, technology, and cosmic ancestry all wrapped into a skin and a soul. Okay, so now we jumping from ancient Sumerian to outer space and back to Mars. I'm talking about the dusty red rock that NASA always seems to like to take pictures of. So now in the last segment, we talked about the Anunnaki, those gods from the sky who might have built humanity like a lab project, mixed their DNA with ours, left behind clues in our bloodline and in our own genetics. Now, if you remember the moon episode, we already asked why it rings like a bell, why it moves too perfectly and is tidally locked. Why is it one of the biggest moons in our solar system that is just so perfectly where it is, and why astronauts get real quiet when you start asking them about what they really saw up there. But Mars, man, you know Mars, it got secrets too, man, and it might just be the missing chapter into the story of where we really come from. So I had to ask myself, what black people have talked about aliens, and I ran into the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, I'm not no Muslim or no Christian, none of that, but I gather information from all sources as everyone else should. You shouldn't just have one source. You should go from every source and just get whatever information you can, and you either keep it or you throw it away. So he dropped science most folks still really ain't ready for. He said there's a mother plane, not just a ship, but a celestial city, a wheel in the sky packed with smaller crafts, is divine tech straight from a higher intelligence. And you know what else? He said that this mother plane ain't earthbound, it moves through space, and Mars is just one of its stops. So what if Mars wasn't just some random rock? What if it was like a station, a base, or a launch pad that we basically came from, and it's just a holding station? So another person who basically talks about like black aliens is another brother from the nation, Dr. Wesley Muhammad.
So, who are the Anunnaki? The Anunnaki are the black gods that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us about. The black gods whose proper name is Allah.
He connects those dots like constellations, man. He said that every planet holds life, and not just microbes, but civilization, spiritual and technological forces beyond this earth matrix. And he said black people, we're not just descendants of kings and queens. We are cosmic beings, like divine DNA with stardust as our signature.
All 9 planets have different size, different color. He said that this was how Allah showed forth his power. That he could create 9 planets in their own independent spheres and not have to rely on any previous planet. He said the civilizations of these planets are independent and different now regarding Mars. He said the people on Mars are similar in some respects to us on Earth. They are black. They are taller than us. He said they are a bit taller and skinnier than a black man and woman on Earth. They are similar to us, but the Martian atmosphere was created so distinct from Earth's atmosphere. Biologically, there can be no cross-pollination, if you will. The Martian, no black Martian can come to Earth and exist in this environment. No black man from Earth can go to Mars and exist in that atmosphere or any of the 9 planets. Each planet, Allah made it independent and hermetically sealed in a sense. We can interact, but we can't exist there. We talk about terraforming, but ain't no terraforming occurred. Certainly not at the level where there can be cultural exchanges, biological exchanges between the planet.
So now think back to what we said in the last segment, that Anunnaki made humans in their image, right? So if we got that celestial code inside of us, then maybe Mars wasn't a beginning or an end. Maybe it was just like a middle passage of something like far older and way more advanced. Now here's where things really get real. In the last episode, we talked about the face on Mars in the Cydonia area, but that ain't no mountain. They keep trying to tell people that like that's a mountain. That face got cheekbones, lip structure, symmetry. It looks like basically a twin of the Sphinx. And then right next to it, there's pyramids geometrically aligned, just like Giza, just like the moon, strange grid patterns we talked about in the other episode. But NASA, they keep hitting us with the usual, oh, it's just wind erosion. Wind erosion built a face with eyes and a mouth. Man, they really be thinking people stupid, man. Y'all been trying to erase faces since the pyramids of Giza. This ain't really nothing new. This is a pattern. This is censorship that they've been doing. Now let's talk about these narrative gatekeepers. Watch any Ancient Alien episode. Who do you see? Basically a bunch of white dudes with wild hair talking about aliens built the pyramids, but let Dr. Michael Carter, a black experiencer who is also have who is a scholar and lived encounters, try to speak on this. They basically silence them, man. So Wesley Muhammad they ignore, Elijah Muhammad they blacklist, and then you ask yourself why. Because if the truth gets out that black people are connected to the cosmos, not just chained to Earth's history, then a whole new power structure unravels. You start asking the right questions and suddenly you ain't just from the hood. You might be from Mars. You might be from Nibiru, from a divine migration that spans solar systems. So let me paint a plain picture, man. The moon, possibly artificial surveillance device. Mars, a former colony, a war-torn planet with ancient monuments and forgotten faces. Then you got Earth, which is the reset, the project, the new garden. And then us. We're the descendants of survivors, carriers of ancient memory, cosmic refugees with royal bloodline, and all we have is galactic amnesia. We didn't just evolve, we arrived, and they've been trying to keep us from remembering basically ever since. So next time you see a blurry Mars photo or a NASA press release about possible water traces, remember, they ain't just looking for life, they're looking for evidence of life, evidence that they already know, evidence we've been hiding, evidence of basically where we came from. You ain't just made of earth and water, you made of stars and memory. All right, now we done broke down the moon, we went into Mars, and we dug into these so-called Anunnaki, these gods called Anunnaki, but now we got to talk about what they left behind. And I ain't talking about pyramids or tablets. I'm talking about the DNA, yours, mine, ours. So according to Zecharia Sitchin, the Anunnaki touched down on Earth not to start a cult, but to mine gold. Yeah, a real practical alien shit. Anytime you hear about aliens do something, you know they enslaving something. And not just hovering around crop circles, but digging into the dirt. But digging got old real quick. So what you think they did? They said, yo, let's get us somebody that can do this for us. So they basically took the hominids that was already on Earth, probably the early humans, mixed them with their own DNA, and then boom, you got humanity, a genetically engineered workforce. And it's not really evolution, is intervention. So when I say not evolution, not intervention, I'm not just throwing shade at like Darwin or anything like that. I'm pointing to an idea that our genetic makeup might have origins that predate Earth itself, suggesting like a complexity that challenges even the conventional timelines. Some researchers have proposed that life, or at least the building blocks of DNA, might have originated before Earth even formed. For instance, a study by Alexei Sharov and Richard Gorton extrapolated the genetic complexity of organisms backward in time, suggesting that life could have begun approximately 9.7 billion years ago, well before Earth's formation, which is 4.5 billion years ago. This hypothesis implies that life might have been seeded across the cosmos, a concept that they call panspermia. Okay, so who is behind it though? The god Enki, the one with the heart. That's what they say. He's the one with the heart, the one who said, let these humans be free, let them think, let them choose, let them have consciousness. But his brother Enlil, he was basically a full plantation owner, control, dominance, obedience. And I mean, that sounds familiar, right? Like the same dynamic we see today. Some powers want us woke and divine, others want us plugged in and passive, programmable. There's always been this yin and yang in all of existence, even in the cosmos, man. So now here's where it gets real for my people. Basically, because this story, it ain't just Sumerian, this same theme shows up in the Nation of Islam and the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. He spoke on Yaqub, a black scientist, a master geneticist who created this white race through a process of selective breeding, another tale of DNA manipulation of creators and creation of balance and rebellion. I mean, whether you believe it literally or see it as a symbolical metaphor, the parallels hit basically the same. Divine scientists, DNA tweaking, civilizational shifts. The lab just ain't new, it's just really ancient.
In a document, if we suspect we've misspelled a word, we can use the find function to highlight the error and correct it or delete it. Within our DNA, that function is taken on by a system called CRISPR-Cas9. CRISPR is short for clustered, regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. CRISPR consists of two components, the Cas9 protein that can cut DNA and a guide RNA that can recognize the sequence of DNA to be edited. To use CRISPR-Cas9, scientists first identify the sequence of the human genome that's causing a health problem. Then, they create a specific guide RNA to recognize that particular stretch of A's, T's, G's, and C's in the DNA. The guide RNA is attached to the DNA cutting enzyme Cas9, and then this complex is introduced to the target cells. It locates the target letter sequence and cuts the DNA. At that point, scientists can then edit the existing genome by either modifying, deleting, or inserting new sequences. It effectively makes CRISPR-Cas9 a cut-and-paste tool for DNA editing. In the future, scientists hope to use CRISPR-Cas9 to develop critical advances in patient care or even cure lifelong inherited diseases.
Like it's a cheat code. I know that, man. That shit sounds so familiar, man. So what if we ain't just headed into the future? What if we just repeating the past, just like a cycle? Now, let me hit y'all with this part. most folks don't want to say this shit out loud. Anytime people describe the Anunnaki, you see those ancient carvings, murals, statues. It's always someone with melanin, broad features, thick lips, woolly hair. Ain't no pale blue-eyed space travelers in this ancient, and none of those ancient stone tablets. So let's keep it real. So if the Anunnaki came down and said, let's make man in our image, and the original people on Earth are black, then the evidence speaks for itself, don't it? Like, these ain't sky beings. They might have looked like us, and if they look like us, who really built civilization? Who really got the divine bloodline? So let's connect it back to what we basically been building on the moon. We saw possible artificial structure, surveillance, a base for watchers. On Mars, we saw pyramids, faces, monuments, echoes of Earth's past just in the red dust. And now here on Earth, we got DNA that's part hominid, part something else, and maybe a lot of something else. Wasn't just extraterrestrial, but it was extra melanated. These beings might have come from beyond, Nibiru, Sirius, whatever, but the blueprint they left behind was basically us. So when they say you're made of stardust, don't just take that as like poetic fluff. Take it as a coded message. You are a remix, divinely engineered, a fusion of earth and sky, of dust and divinity, of struggle and cosmic royalty. Don't let no textbooks tell you otherwise. You ain't random, you're remembered, a living receipt of ancient intention and powers that be. They don't want you waking up to the truth, but now you definitely are awake. Alright, so we done went to ancient Sumerian, to the stars, and now it's time to address the elephant in the spaceship. The deliberate sidelining of black voices in this whole cosmic conversation. So let's talk about the government's role in shaping the whole UFO narrative. Declassified documents from projects like Project Blue Book and MJ12 reveal a pattern of obfuscation and misdirection. It's not just about hiding UFOs, it's about controlling the narrative and by extension, who gets to be a part of it. So consider the case of Betty and Barney Hill, one of the first widely publicized alien abduction stories. Barney, a black man, experienced trauma that was often downplayed or sanitized in mainstream accounts. It's as if acknowledging a black man's encounter with extraterrestrials was just way too much for the public to handle. So shows like Ancient Aliens often attribute monumental achievements like the construction of pyramids to extraterrestrials, conveniently overlooking the black civilizations that actually built them with their own two hands. When black people, individuals, share their experience or theories, they're labeled as pseudoscientists, crazy, while their white counterparts are basically celebrated as like visionaries. You got Benjamin Banneker, a free black man in the 1700s, a mathematician, astronomer, clockmaker, and the real mastermind behind the layout of Washington, D.C. They say Pierre L'Enfant was the architect, but when L'Enfant dipped with the plans, Banneker basically recreated them from memory. So let that sink in. Now another dude dipped with the plans, but Benjamin Banneker had the whole plans just already memorized. So this city, the so-called power center of the world, was literally laid out by a black man using celestial alignment and Masonic geometry. He mapped a capital off the stars, but try to find him in most school books. You definitely won't. They treat him like a footnote, another piece of black brilliance that's left behind and out of the history books. And this pattern, man, this shit ain't new, man. Throughout history, black contributions have been systematically erased or overshadowed. All right, so take the recent case where Harvard University agreed to transfer 19th century photographs of enslaved individuals to the International African American Museum. These images were originally used to support racist pseudoscience, and it took a prolonged legal battle for them to even be returned to the descendants who are depicted in the pictures. Even federal housing policies in the 20th century systematically excluded black Americans from home ownership, opportunities leading to long-term economic disparities. So when we talk about this cosmic color line, it's not just about UFOs or ancient astronauts. It's about a broader pattern of erasure and the exclusion of black voices have been marginalized in discussions about our past, our present, or places in the universe. But here's the real truth. We are the descendants of the star builders, of civilizations that mapped the stars and built monuments aligned with celestial bodies. Our history is written in the stars, and no amount of disinformation can really erase that. All right, now we about to close out this show with a brand new segment, and I'm calling it The Hard Truth. And this is where we peel back the layers, no filter, no bullshit, just that real uncut reality, the kind of truth that don't always feel good but always makes you think. Okay, so right now, LA, man, is hella lit. Streets on fire, literally and metaphorically. Protesters out in full force after ICE started ramping up all these deportations. A lot of Latinos getting snatched up from their homes, schools, split from families, and it's fucked up, like, for real. But here's the hard truth about it. Black folks, we not showing up like we used to. Now, before y'all go twisting that up, let me break it down for you. We not cold, we not heartless, but we done been in this fight before. Front lines, tear gas, dogs, water hoses. We marched for everybody. We done stood up for folks who never stood up for us. And some of them same folks, I'm talking about the Latinos, voted in droves for Trump. Yep, the same dude who built his campaign on ICE raids, walls, and kids in cages. And y'all already knew what was going on. According to the numbers, Trump's support among Latino men rose significantly in 2020 and again in 2024. And that's not fake news, that's real shit. Meanwhile, black Americans, especially foundational black Americans, black folk, we've been out here holding L's for centuries. We holding it down for civil rights, police brutality, economic inequality, and now folks looking around like, why the black community ain't really rallying with us this time? Because this time y'all gotta hold y'all own L. It's not petty, it's not a pivot, it's recognizing that solidarity can't be just one-sided anymore. You can't dance with white supremacy on Tuesday and then ask for unity on Friday. Man, that shit just don't work like that. We got love, but we also got memory. And to keep it realer than real, we see how they try to erase our presence from history and even from from these movements. Where's the media when black migrants get deported? Where was the outrage when Haitian families were ripped by border patrol on horseback? Nothing. Crickets. Same thing in the whole UFO world, man. We talked about this last episode. Black voices get cut out even when we the first to experience something, from Barney Hill to Benjamin Benjamin Banneker, who laid out the entire freaking blueprint for the Washington, D.C., our brilliant stay getting ghosted in the narrative. So yeah, we peep the patterns that everybody been doing, and we not being divisive. We just tired of playing the savior when folks don't even acknowledge the sacrifice. This ain't hate, it's healing. And this is called boundaries, and that's really the hard truth. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to Intentional Thought Podcast, man. I appreciate y'all. Another episode down. So you know how we gotta end this motherfucker, man. We gotta end it on vibe.
You're now to mix with DJ E-Dub. Hey, yo, turn it up.
Yeah.
Turn up your stereo and get in tune, bitches.
Yeah.
This is a DJ E-Dub. Worldwide exclusive.
So that's a wrap on this episode, man. Remember, the truth is out there, and it's melanin rich. So always keep it intentional, one thought at a time. Peace.
Out the lot. You know I don't know ya, I can't serve you at the spot. Bitch, I'm fresh as fuck, like I just jumped straight out the pot. My little wolf say he ain't